Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, Accidental Beauty. If you're new, welcome. My name is Laura. I'm a self-taught makeup enthusiast who absolutely loves color, bold expressions of color, just everything bold, as you can see. My channel is about 85 to 90% cruelty-free and vegan, so if that's your thing, I'd love it if you could subscribe. Today I'm going to be doing kind of like a roundup, best and worst and everything in between of makeup releases from the year 2020. It's just kind of a fun way to look back at literally the longest year ever. Because honestly, there were some products when I was researching for this video, there's some products that I totally forgot were released this year. So it's just kind of a fun way to look back at everything that came out this year. It's not to be taken too seriously. It's just makeup, and it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. These are my opinions. They're just my opinions about the products. I'll kind of mention some of the brand owners, but really I'm just talking about the makeup products. If I mention a product that you really love, that I really hated, it's just makeup. It's not to be taken personally or too seriously. It's just my opinions. As you'll see, I am very biased towards anything bold and bright and colorful, so if that's not your thing, then we might disagree, but that's okay. As with every video of mine, all the products that I'm wearing will be listed in the description box below, so you can check that out if you're interested. And without further ado, let's look at all the makeup releases from this year and talk about my thoughts. This is going to be a really long one, so you might want to grab a snack, grab a coffee, and let's begin. Also, please ignore all the mattresses behind me. We're kind of like in limbo with our living situation right now. If you haven't seen my videos where I talked about this before, we're staying at my in-laws, and so literally like all our stuff is in this room. So excuse the mess. I've got my laptop just off screen over here, so I'm going to be kind of looking back and forth. I've got my phone over here just so I can kind of like reference everything, and then I can put timestamps below, so if you're not interested in one category, you can just kind of skip ahead. I think that makes the most sense. All right, so let's begin with the best. I kind of like added a bunch of things back and forth, so I'm gonna try and go, like, it's more or less listed in chronological order of when it was released. So we're basically going back to about a year ago, at the beginning of January, before we knew the world was going to change. Editing Laura here. I just wanted to make a quick disclaimer that most of the qualities that I'm talking about for these products are just based on how they look on Instagram and any reviews that I possibly might have heard about these products. It's really just like my impressions of them, but I haven't actually tried most of these products. Just wanted to clear that up before getting into this video. Oh yeah, and also just kind of backtrack, most of my notes come from Trendmood's page, so I just kind of went back to January. I also got some of my stuff from Indie Makeup Spotlight. I think that's what it's called, the one run by Amy Loves Makeup. And then some were just products that I knew released that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so you'll see based on the screenshots like where the pictures came from. The first item on my list is the Glamlite Cake Palette. This is such a gorgeous palette. This is like, honestly, probably one of the most perfect rainbow palettes that exist. You have some shimmers, you have some mattes, you have kind of with almost, let's see here, almost every shade, or most shades have a corresponding metallic or glitter. I don't know if it's glitter, foil, whatever. And I just love when palettes do that because you can tell that there was thought put into it, and you can kind of just create a look with like those two shades alone. Like, you know, you have your matte shade and then you have your corresponding glitter, and that could be a look on its own. I really love that for versatility. I love the vibrance of the colors, which is a thing that Glamlite does very well. It's a really pretty palette to look at. The only thing that I really hate is the shape and the size of the palette. Pretty much all of Glamlite's palettes, except for maybe like one or two, are like really weirdly shaped. This one isn't too bad because Cake is like more or less a normal shape for a palette, but some of their other ones, like, it's just how are you expected to store these palettes? Like, anyone with Glamlite palettes, at least one or two, let's say, feel free to comment below. I'm very curious how you store your palettes because they just seem so bulky and so impractical, but the shades inside are so pretty that like I would personally almost be tempted to, like, because I don't really care about the outer packaging, I just find like a lot of their palettes are kind of garish to look at from the outside, to be honest. So I would just like depot everything and then just put them in a magnetic palette. but that's just me. Other than that, it's an absolutely gorgeous palette. Next, we're going to talk about some new releases from Clionadh Cosmetics. New as in like a year ago new. Okay, so this was 3 new shades to the Stained Glass collection, which was like, honestly, I want the entire collection, but it's like probably $500 or something to buy the whole thing. No, maybe it's not quite that much, but it's really, really expensive for what you're actually getting. But I have tried some other shadows before, and I will put up the video when I finish editing it, which will be probably in the new year. Actually, most definitely in the new year. Of these 3, like none of them are the most unique shades on their own, but just because of the range of colors that you get from all the different shifts, depending on how the light hits it, they're just so unique, and that's what I really love about them. Pictures don't do this brand justice. Like I'm wearing, I mean, you can't really, I guess you can kind of see it if I turn a certain way. I'm wearing the shade Aura on my inner corner today, and it's just like, it's so magical. Anyways, we're gonna move on. Okay, so I didn't actually realize that this launched this year. It's just like, honestly, the beginning of the year just seems like a millennia ago. The next product that I'm gonna be talking about is the Midas Cosmetics and Smoky Glow collaboration palette. And it's not the most like, wow, innovative color scheme, but what I really love about it is it's very cohesive. It's a neutral palette that doesn't really like look like a neutral palette when you first look at it. So it's more interesting. It kind of has all the shades that you would kind of need for like a pinky purple makeup palette. You got some browns and sort of like reddish browns and an orange for your crease. You have some interesting accent shades. It's a really nice cohesive palette. Also, like, I love Smoky Glow, so a little bias there. Quality, I hear, was really, really good with this palette. It's a warm neutral palette that doesn't look like modern Renaissance, and you'll see that's a theme that kind of comes up throughout this video. I kind of judge neutral palettes based on how close are they to modern Renaissance. Yeah, it's a really, really well done palette. Also, the shade Leno is really, really calling my name. They actually sell it, last time I checked, they're still selling it as a single shadow, and I'm very, very tempted to pick it up. I didn't end up getting the palette just because I kind of have most of these shades in my collection, but that shade Leno, it's really calling my name. Next is the Terra Moon's Cosmic Chameleons. They came out with some new shades to that collection also earlier in January. Okay, so this is what they look like. They're absolutely stunning, but these shades are absolutely stunning, and they're so, so gorgeous. I've heard amazing things about them, and just any multi-chromes, I'm just, yes, please give me all of them. So next is from OPV Beauty. I believe they're a Black-owned brand. A pretty affordable one too, if I remember correctly. This is their Born to Shine blush palette. At first I thought it was like an all-over face palette, so I thought they were like highlight shades, kind of a bronzer shade, and then a couple blush shades. But no, this is actually a blush palette, and what's really interesting is it seems to work on almost every skin tone, which is shocking and amazing and really, really cool. If they were able to develop something that actually works across every, or pretty much every skin tone, kudos to them. You don't see a lot of these colors in blush palettes, I feel like. Like, you see some, but not all together like this. And like, just the colors are so deliciously rich that I'm almost tempted to check this out and buy it for myself if it's still available. All right, moving on. Next is a face palette, a mini face palette, I think, from the brand Salt New York, which I've never heard of before other than from Amy Loves Makeup and her talking about this palette. It's a cream face palette, which I hear can be very, very messy. And it's interesting that they use such, like, I think it's either a leather or vegan leather zip up compact, which, like, for this type of product, I feel like it's going to get messy really, really quick. But it's really, really pretty. The shades look like they would be absolutely stunning and would give you, like, oh, the most flawless glow. It looks beautiful. Speaking of cream products, the next products that I want to talk about are the Fenty cream products. I'm mostly going to be talking about the blushes, but there are also, like, bronzer contour shades. I actually did pick up one of the bronzers, and I haven't tried it out yet, but that is coming eventually. The range of colors in the blushes is phenomenal. You rarely see that. You rarely see like yellow blushes, orange blushes, like to the intensity that Fenty did. It's a stunning array of colors. Like, if I could, I would have bought every single one because they're so gorgeous. I'm really disappointed that the blushes were so small, especially in comparison to the contour products. Like, they should have just made them all the same size, and I would have rather have spent more money for a bigger product because I know that it'll last longer, especially because you're putting blush like all over your face practically, and I feel like you're gonna run through these products pretty quickly. But yeah, otherwise an absolutely gorgeous color range. You can just do so much. I'd actually love to see Fenty expand this range and add some blushes that have like a shimmer to them. I think that could be a really cool texture, and I would definitely be the first one to try those out. Next, we're going to talk about the Melt Rust collection. On the surface, it's kind of a boring neutral palette. However, it doesn't look like Modern Renaissance. No, it's a really pretty basic neutral palette with a bit of a twist, and then you've got some darker shades if you want to make it a little grungier. Honestly, Melt does grungy palettes so well. Because I own the Gemini palette, I really don't see a need for this palette because it's kind of like an extension of the, I guess, like the warmer sort of brownish side of the Gemini palette. But if you don't have that, or if those shades weren't enough, I would definitely say pick this up because it looks stunning. Those mustard yellows are really calling my name, and also those like rusty reddish brown shades. Ooh, so good. Next item is the Terra Moon's matte pastel shades. They're single shadows and they look like this. Geez, I honestly forgot that these launched this year. So this was, I think, an Easter release, if I remember correctly. I considered picking up the collection because they're just so pretty, and like seeing them all together, and if you put them in a magnetic palette, it's just like, it's so spring and I love it. But I kind of already have most of these shades already, so I didn't really feel a need for them. And then I thought maybe like I'll pick up one or two just to round out my collection, but I realized like really I have most of these, so I didn't really see a point. I passed on them, but they are stunning. And honestly, like they're the most perfect pastel versions of all of these colors, so if you don't have them already, I would highly consider looking into them. Next item, also from Terra Moons, are the Pastel Chameleons. Like, I feel like calling them pastel is a bit of a misnomer. I feel like they're deeper and richer, but maybe it's just this picture. Really unique, gorgeous shades. Like, honestly, Terra Moons has some of the most interesting, shifty colors. Even their mattes look absolutely beautiful. They're not cheap, otherwise I would buy everything. I made an order waiting for my shades to arrive. I think I tried to order like a little bit from everything, so stay tuned for that try on swatching video when it happens. Okay, so next is the Natasha Denona Bloom highlighting blush. It's like a mini and super pricey for like what you're actually getting. So this is what it looks like. It's my favorite color and texture of blush, and I've been this close multiple times to buy it, and then I decided not to because it's really pricey and it's probably like about that big. But it's so pretty and I want it. Honestly, what I really wish is if they, okay, so the big Bloom palette, I'll just put a picture of it on screen. There were 4 shades. I think they were like, if I remember correctly, it was like 1 or 2 cream shades, and then there might have been a hybrid texture and then like a powder texture. So the one that was the cream was absolutely stunning. I mean, all of them were absolutely stunning. It was a similar color to this one, but just a cream formula. And I really wish they made a single of that one because that's really the one that I want. I want a cream blush that looks like this. So if there's one out there that you can think of, I'll take cream or liquid, but I feel like cream would give me more of that like duochrominess. If something like that exists that you know of, feel free to comment below because I've been looking everywhere for a product like that. So any recommendations, I'd love to hear them. Next is the Sigma Cor de Rosa palette. So for some reason it looks different every time I look at this palette, but basically, okay, so this palette is for some reason based off of Sigma's best-selling blush, also called Cor de Rosa, which I assume means like rose heart or something. I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. Oh, it's Portuguese. Okay. Cor de Rosa in Portuguese is pink, but in English translates to color of a rose. Okay, clearly I don't speak Portuguese. Thank you, Trendmood, for translating. So this is what the palette looks like. And again, it's a neutral palette that doesn't look like Modern Renaissance, but has its own unique color story. It's innovative. You don't really see these colors paired together that often. There's a really beautiful sort of duochrome shift green. Actually, some of these other shades are also kind of duochromy. Beautiful colors, like really, really like this palette. It's a bit too neutral for me. Like I feel like I get bored really easily. But if I had it, like, here's the thing, if I had it, I would use it, but I wouldn't rush out to go buy it. But it's absolutely stunning. I just tend to go for more intense colors, as you can see. But honestly, like, it's so pretty. It almost looks like it's like sort of the daytime version or like the younger sister of the ABH Jackie Aina palette. Not in that it looks like it copied it, but it's like sort of along the similar vein, but this one went a lot softer than the Jackie Aina palette, which went a lot deeper and richer. Both of them absolutely beautiful palettes, don't get me wrong. And also just seeing the duochromes, just I have a soft spot in my heart for duochromes, so absolutely stunning. Okay, next is the Glaminatrix Cosmetics Easter Pastel Duochrome Shadows. So I guess it was like a collection of 6 shadows. Absolutely beautiful. Not the most, like some of these aren't the most unique shades, like Candy Egg, even Egg Hunt. Like you've seen shades like that before, but like Bonnet, Chick, even like Hopping, beautiful, very unique, just perfect for spring. That like pastel, but like with a twist, like you could just throw that on your eyes with some mascara and go. And that would be a really, really cool, like dreamy, ethereal, editorial inspired look. Absolutely beautiful. Glaminatrix is a brand that I've wanted to try. I almost bought a whole bunch of shadows during one of their sales, and then I'm like, do I need these right now? I don't know. So I held off, but definitely a brand that I want to try soon. Okay, next is the Melt Cosmetics 420 palette. Again, if you have the Gemini palette, I don't think this one is necessary. This one kind of looks like an extension of the green side of the Gemini palette with a couple shades or similar shades to the Rust palette. So it's kind of like if you missed the Gemini and the Rust palette and you kind of want a combination of both of those, this is kind of that combination. That being said, it's an absolutely beautiful palette, and those like grungy, almost neon lime greens are really calling my name. It's really, really pretty, but I don't need it. The next collection that I'm going to be talking about is the Give Me Glow Cosmetics Spicy Collection. They really, really hyped this up on their Instagram before their launch. When they released their palette, like I feel like everyone went nuts over it. It's so, so beautiful. Again, it's a neutral palette, sort of disguised as a more bold, intense palette, and it doesn't look like Modern Renaissance. It's absolutely beautiful, like the gold shades, the red, the deep red shades, those mustard yellows, like, ooh, this is honestly like, if I was gonna get a neutral palette, this would probably be the one that I would get, but I don't actually need it. And then the liquid lipstick collections, like these colors are so beautiful. I don't know if I would wear that green. I'd probably use it more as an eyeliner than an actual lipstick. The red is a beautiful red, and then that sort of like orangey color is, ooh, it's like one of the most perfect neutral colors. I really, really love it. Honestly, I really want to pick up the whole collection, but I don't need it, and I'm really, really trying to restrain myself and limit myself to, like, if there's something that I want to review that's like so different from anything on the market, then I'd consider it. But I'm also trying to save money this year, so we will see. But I really, really do like it. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh, also, like the idea and the execution is just done so flawlessly. I love that they stuck to a theme and they carried it through all the way. The shades, the palette name, just the whole color scheme is based off of hot peppers. And I just love that. That's so innovative. And they didn't have to resort to garish packaging of like, you know, I don't know, like a habanero pepper or something as like the palette. It's just like a normal shaped palette, but all the shade names are like different hot peppers. And then same with the lipsticks. And the lipsticks are actually colored pretty close to like the hot peppers. Like I think the green one is, yeah, the green one is jalapeno poppers. The red one is El Diablo, and then sort of orangey colored one is buffalo sauce. Like I just love the consistency. I love the thought. It's such a cute collection. I really wanted to buy it just to support them because I love the whole concept. But can't buy everything. Next is the NYX Cosmetics Bear With Me, what are they? Jelly Cheek colors. So I think they're about 6 shades. I haven't actually tried these. I haven't tried most of these products, but these ones I'm actually really interested in. I can't remember if I've seen them in stores. I definitely get a lot of targeted ads for this product. I love jelly textured blush. If it's done well, it dries down completely or like mostly so that it doesn't move around throughout the day. It gives a really natural looking flush and you can build up the intensity. So I really love that. I can't say if these actually do that, but they look absolutely stunning and I really do want to check them out. I might consider picking some of these up because I do really love the texture. I feel like this is like sort of a good product to start with if you're getting into cream products because it's pretty forgiving and it is fairly easy to apply. I can't speak for these in particular, but I'm definitely interested in trying them out. Okay, next, Mama Pat McGrath Mothership 8 Dusty Rose. Dusty Rose? Divine Rose. Geez, I don't even know the names of these products. I want this palette so badly. And I'm allergic to a good number of the shades, so I'm not spending any kind of money on a palette where I can't wear at least one of the shades. But it's so pretty. Like, especially that multi-chrome shade, I want it so badly. It's so gorgeous. And I'm not going to get it because there's absolutely no point. Oh, sorry, this one is actually the Divine Rose 2 palette. My bad. And just the artwork on the outer box for all of her palettes is just so phenomenal, and there's so much thought and love and care that goes into her palettes. Like, I really do want to support her, but she uses carmine in like everything, so there's no point in me spending so much money on something that I can't wear. So until she changes her mind, I won't be able to try anything of hers, and I'm really sad. Oh yeah, also one more thing that I'll note is this is a fantastic neutral glam palette. Again, there's some similar shades to Modern Renaissance, but it's still very much its own palette. It's beautiful. It's perfection. It just can't get better than that. Well, actually you can if you make it vegan. Okay, NBA Cosmetics Neon Collection. I have almost bought this palette so many times, and then I was like, well, do I need it? And then I ended up buying some loose neon pigments instead. I've held off on buying it, but I really do love it. They seem like a pretty small brand. Like, I've only seen a few YouTubers talk about the brand, so I'd like to try them out one day. I hear they have some multi-chromes that are really nice as well. Next is the Beauty Bakery Ice Cream Bars palette. Just such a cute concept. Beauty Bakery is one of those brands that every single launch of theirs, there is a concept and it's consistent with their brand and they just knock it out of the park every time, except for one that I'm going to mention later. Yeah, there were at least 2 different like shade ranges, and the idea is that it's based off of ice cream. So you have one like for the sort of like lighter skin tones, you have one that's kind of based off of Neapolitan ice cream. You have one for deeper skin tones that's based off of, I think it's like chocolate and caramel. Very clever idea. And I love the thought that they put into their packaging, their concepts. The execution is phenomenal. Okay, next is the JD Glow Liquid Multichromes. These are just like drool worthy. Like, JD Glow's products are so good. Love this. Natasha Denona claimed that she was the first one to do liquid multichromes. Definitely not true because these launched earlier this year and I'm pretty sure other brands have been doing it as well. I almost bought these and then I realized like I'm probably not going to be using the liquid form of these. I actually ended up buying pressed multichromes instead, and that video will be coming up soon. So stay tuned for that when it goes up. Best way to just follow is subscribe and turn on notifications. Next is the Kendall and Kylie collection from Kylie Cosmetics. So the palette itself, I actually liked. I thought it was a fairly unique color scheme for Kylie Cosmetics. I feel like she hasn't really done a whole lot of new, interesting looking palettes. She'll add like a couple cool accent shades and then the rest is a brown palette. And while that is true for this palette, there are actually a surprising number of pops of colors. And again, it's a neutral palette, but she's doing something different, bringing something different to the table. And I like and respect that. And so in this collection, she also had face trio sticks. So she had, I think you could buy it in a bundle and you could buy them separately as well. A blush stick, a contour stick, and a highlight stick. And she had them in a few different colors. The one that I would have bought for my skin tone, I really actually loved all 3 shades. It was a bit more than what I wanted to spend, but absolutely gorgeous, and I still kind of want them. Like, I actually might check. You know what? I'm just going to check now and see if they're still available. I doubt they are. Okay, they do have some of these, but I don't know if the shades were limited edition to the Kendall and Kylie collection, or if she re-released them with the Kylie packaging. I might consider picking some of these up. Next is the Glamlite Donut Palette. I was very close to picking this up. I watched a few reviews on this. I watched CMY Bliss Beauty, and I think did Annette's Makeup Corner also do a review on this? She might have. Anyways, the colors look absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. Like, this is my idea of a cool tone palette done excellently. The only thing that I would change is get rid of the bronze shade and maybe that like burnt reddish shade, but other than that, like, absolutely perfect. The saturation of the colors is just so gorgeous, but I absolutely detest the packaging. Like, I know this is Glamlite shtick, but like, it's so tacky and you can't store it anywhere. Like, it's a round palette. How are you supposed to store this, really? Also, I don't really like that highlighting shade in the center. I find it like, I get it for the layout of the palette, it totally makes sense, but like, I feel like it's kind of unnecessary. And unless it was like a duochrome or multichrome, really cool like bluish shift, which I don't think it was. I think it was just like a white shimmer. It's not really necessary. But again, like, it fits with the shape. Like, thematically, everything works really well. The only thing is, like, if this is a donut palette, I don't really think of blues and turquoises, even purples with donuts, although I guess they're looking at the sprinkles, in which case it kind of makes sense. But like, I sort of think of like more like, I guess, like browns and cream colors. But yeah, I guess this makes sense if you're looking at the sprinkles, so fine, I'll give it a pass. But color wise, like, perfection. I'm so sad about this product. Next is the Rituel de Fille Chimera highlighter, I think was the shade. Like, I think these highlighters are called Metamorphic. If I remember correctly, the shade is called Chimera. I want this highlighter so fucking bad, and it was limited edition, and I should have just bought it, even though it was like $42 or something ridiculous. And it's out of stock now, and I asked them about it actually, and they said it's discontinued because it was just a limited edition thing. I had a theory that because there were a lot of green palettes and green shades that were discontinued or disappeared for a while in the summer, I thought maybe there was a green pigment that makeup brands weren't able to source during the pandemic when mail was kind of, you know, halted or heavily delayed. But they made it sound like it was just a limited edition thing, and it came, it went, and it's done. And I'm really sad because I really, really want this product. There's a similar product from Kaleidos from their, I think they're called the Space Age highlighters, and that one was called Laser Glazer. Similar looking product, not the same. And that one was also discontinued, and it turns out they discontinued that one because sales were too low. Which also makes me really sad because I was like, okay, fine, I can't get the Rituel de Fille one, maybe I'll try the Kaleidos one, and by the time I made that decision, it was already sold out. And I'm really sad because it's like honestly the most beautiful highlight, and it's gone forever. I'm really hoping that they consider bringing it back because I know a lot of people want it, maybe not enough for them to justify making it, but like, even if they just do another like limited edition run or something, I really want to get my hands on it. There are a lot of green highlighters out there, but they're often more cool tone greens. So like, I've got one in the ABH Aurora palette, there's one in the KVD Alchemy palette, but I feel like those ones are more cool tone greens, and I really want like a yellowy green with like a really cool out of this world shift. I don't know. So the Rituel de Fille one is like exactly what I want, and it's not around anymore, and I'm sad. Editing Laura here again. I totally forgot to mention the M Cosmetics Color Drops Serum Blushes. They're liquid blushes in like a really cute little bottle. I don't think these were new products from this year, but there were definitely a whole bunch of new shades that launched this year, so that's what I'm talking about. The packaging is absolutely adorable. I haven't actually tried them out myself, but I've heard fantastic things about them. They all look absolutely stunning, and I just want every single one of them. The palettes that broke the internet, part 1, the BH Cosmetics Ice Cream Shop collection. This basically broke the indie internet. Love the idea, perfect execution, really, like well done. Looks like 6 eyeshadow palettes with 8 shades each. And each one was like a different theme. All of them were based off of ice cream. I thought that was such a clever idea. And the shades were all kind of like embossed with crosshatch pattern, sort of similar to like a waffle cone. I thought that was just so brilliant, and everything was so cohesive, and this collection like sold out within, I don't know, a day or two. And I really wanted to get my hands on the pistachio one because I was watching like all the reviews, and everyone seemed to really love the pistachio one, and I really love green eyeshadows, and when I decided to buy it, it was sold out for like ages, and then it came back, and whatever, after all that time waiting, I was like, you know what, I don't think I really need this, so I didn't end up picking any of these up. And yeah, I just love the idea of like curated palettes by color story or theme. This was just excellently done, so well done, BH Cosmetics. And now another palette that kind of broke the internet, kind of the indie internet, definitely like blew my mind, was the Be Perfect Cosmetics and Stacey Marie Carnival 3 Love Tahiti palette. I think the second one was the Carnival 2 palette or whatever. No, the Carnival XL. That was the one from last year. And that one just about blew my mind. And I was thinking of buying it, and then this one came out, and I was like, oh my god, this is like, the perfect palette doesn't exist. And then this one came around, and I'm like, I kind of want it. And I was very close to buying it, and then it was sold out at the time it came back, and I was like, it's a lot of money. Like with the exchange rate from pounds, because I believe they're a British brand. Once you exchange pounds into Canadian dollars, it's a lot of money. So I decided not to buy it. I think if there were fewer pinky purples, if there were more purples and just more of a balance of shades, like if there were more blues, because there's really only like 2 blue shades, then I might have actually bought it. But there's so many shades in here. Hold on, how many shades are there? There are 40 shades in this palette. That is far too many in an eyeshadow palette. This palette must be ginormous. So I'm glad I didn't buy it. I don't know where I would store it because it's probably huge, but it's beautiful. Like honestly, this is like one of the most perfect palettes. I think if I was just starting to get into makeup and wanted to kind of branch out from beyond like a neutral palette and really start playing with colors, I think this is the palette that I would have gotten. But I kind of already have most of these shades already. So like I don't need it. It's just really fun to look at. And like those neon lime greens are really calling my name. And like every look that I see with this palette is beautiful. Okay, next is the Looksy Beauty Butterfly Kisses collection. I also almost bought this because the promo photos were breathtakingly gorgeous. I'm glad I didn't because, well, first of all, like I have colors that are similar but have more interesting shifts, and also I've heard that the quality kind of has gone downhill. I've never actually tried anything from this brand before, so I wouldn't even be able to compare, but I heard that it used to be a lot better quality, so hearing that I'm like less likely to try anything from them, but the collection looked absolutely breathtaking. Okay, next is the Menagerie Arthurine Blush Palette Volume 1. I really wanted to buy this, even though it's very pricey. It was like $52 US. $54 for a blush palette. That's a lot of money. Even though you get 9 shades, it's still a lot. I wanted to get this on launch day, but it sold out. And okay, this is just a side note. This video is like going to be a million years long. But anyways, I wanted to get this on the launch day. They launched on a Saturday. I am Jewish and my Sabbath is on Saturday. That means we don't use electricity and a bunch of other things. So I wasn't able to use my computer until after the Sabbath ended, which was like after nightfall. And by that point, the palette had predictably sold out. Now, I don't expect any of these makeup brands to cater to my personal needs. I don't expect that at all. I'm just a little frustrated because a lot of indie brands have their makeup launches and like pre-orders and stuff on Saturdays, and by the time I'm able to use my computer, they're sold out. And I really would like to support them. So If you're listening, any indie brand owner, it would be fabulous if you could do your launches on Sundays, but I don't expect you to cater to my needs. That's it. And then when this palette came back in stock, I was like, okay, should I buy it or should I not? I kind of missed the window of like reviewing it, and there weren't a whole lot of reviews, so like maybe people would be interested if I reviewed it. And then I thought, like, after converting to Canadian dollars, after calculating shipping rates, it would be really, really expensive for what it is. So I decided to pass on this. But I'm very interested to see what their Volume 2 palette looks like, especially if they do a cream version of this one. Honestly, like, if they did a cream version, it would look kind of similar to the Fenty cream products. But if you could get all of those in one palette, I think that would be fantastic. And I would definitely be there. So Menagerie, if you guys are watching this for, you know, any reason at all, it'd be cool if you came out with some cream blushes. Just saying. Also, just the packaging, the artwork, the shade names, like everything is just so cute with this palette, and I love the theme, I love the colors. I don't actually own anything from Menagerie, and that is also a brand that I'd like to check out in the new year. Next, moving on, the Melt Digital Dust Duo Blushes. Wow, that's a tongue twister. I was so tempted to pick up like all of them. I don't remember what it's called, but that really like sort of corally, orangey, duochrome shade in the middle palette on the left side. If that shade was in like more of a cream formula, I probably would have said fuck it and just picked it up anyways. I think these are like $52 each for like a compact. So I guess like $25 each for a blush isn't like the worst. But also I wish that these were just sold individually. I think some of them might be. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I don't like products like this sold as a duo. Like just sell them as singles. And then just make them like the full-size pan. Like, Next, the Rare Beauty initial launch. Really, really like the packaging concept for this brand. I know there's a lot of discussion whether the packaging was actually designed for people with arthritis. Turns out it wasn't, but apparently people with arthritis and like other sort of like joint mobility issues found it easier to open. I just really like that the packaging looks different. So when you see it on shelves, it does look very different from other products on the market. So I absolutely love that. I have tried the foundation before, and I actually really, really like the formula. Debating whether I should actually pick it up or not, but I did enjoy it when I used it. I really want to try the liquid blushes, especially I think it's the shade Joy, the one that's like literally always sold out. It's a like a dewy finish. It looks absolutely beautiful, but it's always sold out. And then when it isn't sold out, I am like, I don't really want to spend money right now, and then it gets sold out again. So I wish they would restock that one more frequently. Next is the Glamlite Ice Cream Dream palette. This is one of the most perfect palettes to ever exist. I don't actually own it, but just like color-wise, this is everything you need. I know I've said this about a few palettes, but this is honestly so beautiful. Just like watching all the different looks that you can do with this palette, it's so pretty. And I really want it, but I don't need it. I have most of these shades already, and the ones that I don't have, like I have similar ones in my collection, so I really don't need it. It's not adding anything, but I love that you have the pastels, you have like the brighter colors. It's just so, and then you have like sort of the metallic. I don't think they're actually glitters. I think they're just metallic. It's a very cohesive, beautiful palette. And I think this might be the first palette that they did that's like an actual normal shape, so you can actually store it with your other palettes. However, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 30 shades in this palette. That is too big for an eyeshadow palette. That's too many shades. It's a lot. I would get rid of like basically all of the like sort of brownish shades and maybe some of the glitters. Otherwise, it's perfect. I almost would have wanted this to be an all pastel palette, because honestly, like you could have just gotten rid of a couple dark shades and it would be a pastel palette. So I don't really know why they didn't decide to make it a pastel palette, because most ice cream shades are kind of more pastel anyways. I don't know. It was a choice. Don't necessarily agree with it. Next is the Copacetic Cosmetics and M. Jones 5018 or Monica Jones Tabor collaboration. It did have a name. Hold on, let me just pull it up. This one is called the Companion Palette. I don't know who Monica Jones is. I assume she likes animals because there's a picture of a dog on the front. I really like, I don't know who she is. When I saw that this palette was all like duochrome and multi-chromes. I'm just like, I really want it. I think it was probably a bit more than I wanted to spend. Either that or I just bought myself a bunch of multi-chromes. So I'm like, I don't know if I really need it, but it's absolutely beautiful. When I first saw the palette, it's like, it looks kind of weird. Like it's kind of a weird combination of colors, but then when I saw the swatches together, I'm like, okay, I understand now. I get it. It's absolutely beautiful. If it ever went on sale, I'd like maybe consider picking it up because it is really pretty. The only downside is you can't really use this whole palette to create a look unless, again, you do something editorial. So it's kind of like you'd reach into it for an accent shade. So then I don't know how much use you'd get out of it unless you like specifically make a point to use the shades in your collection, but it's absolutely breathtaking. Okay, Lunar Skies Have Your Cake palette. This is like a perfect, almost pastel palette. It's so cohesive. It's really, really pretty. I really like it. I actually almost bought this and then I was like, I don't really need it. Like I have most of these shades already, but it's like a perfect sort of pastel brights palette, very well executed. Back to the Kaleidos Space Age highlighter. They released the Space Age Prophecy Multichrome highlighter this year. It is so interesting looking. So I actually have it here and I haven't tried it out, which shame on me because it's been sitting here. I just haven't had time to like give it the attention and love that it deserves. But that video is definitely coming soon. So please stay tuned for that. I'm very excited to try it out. Honestly, I don't think I watched any reviews on it because I really, like when I buy something, I don't want spoilers. I just want to try it out for myself and review it. But I'm very excited. Like look at the different shifts. Like this is the same product, just different shifts. It's so, so cool. Very unique. Can't wait to try it out. It's magical. It's so magical. And speaking of magical, the Shroud Cosmetics and Butte Bean It's Freakin' Bats palette. Look at this. This is a perfect grungy makeup palette. It's so unique from anything that I've seen on the market. It's such a cool color scheme. Like, I mean, it's nothing like, wow, revolutionary, but it's so unique and so grungy and fall, and I love it. Another thing with products that launch on Saturdays, and I don't get there in time. So essentially what happened was they had the pre-orders like Saturday afternoon or something. And then I guess that ran out or there was a time limit or something. By the time that I was able to actually, open up the site, I think they briefly closed the pre-orders and then they decided to just have like unlimited pre-orders and then they'd like make to order. So when I saw that they like reopened the pre-orders, I made my order. I actually had wanted to pick up, I think the Creepy Cute palette from them and maybe a couple like singles. Anyways, everything was like basically sold out at that point. So I'm like, fine, I'm just getting my palette and that's it. So I've been waiting for my palette. It has not been made yet from what I hear. Instead of hand pressing the palettes, now they're going to use a machine to get them out faster. I think Betty Jean has to approve of the quality of the new ones and make sure that it's the same quality as the old palettes. There's a lot of drama with this palette. Guys, it's just a makeup palette. I am patiently waiting for mine. I really want it. I want to review it. I'll wait. It sounds like based on my order number, mine should be in the next like few batches. So I'll just wait. Very, very excited to try it out. This whole situation was very messy. I don't really want to address it on here too much, but I think there could have been some better preparation, especially because people really love Betty Jean, people really love Shroud, and people are excited for this collaboration. So I think things could have maybe been a little better prepared, but anyways, I'm going to patiently wait for mine. Okay, Melt and Beetlejuice collection. This is a collaboration that was flawlessly executed. It was an absolutely beautiful collection. I'm saying that I literally have the collection over here and in the box. I haven't even tried it out yet. Because also I'm waiting to give it the time and attention that it deserves. That review is coming soon, so please stay tuned. The color range is just perfect with the color palette of the costumes and the movie, and just everything was just perfectly executed. The shade names were so clever, just fit in perfectly. This was very, very well done. I can't talk about the quality because I haven't seen actually too many reviews or swatch videos. So far from what I've seen, it looks excellent. Haven't seen really too many reviews because, again, I didn't want it to sway my opinion before I actually tried it out myself. But again, stay tuned and that review will come soon. Okay, this is the Kristen Lee Cosmetics Glimmer Gels. Look at these color shifts. These look absolutely magical. I don't know really what these are. I don't know if these are supposed to be for your eyes or your lips or your face. Like, I don't know if they're highlighters, if they're eyeshadows. They might be some and some. They might just be a multi-purpose product. These would be really cool on your lips, actually. I don't know if they dry down at all or if they just stay kind of like wet and tacky. They look absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna have to check out this brand because their products look so cool. Speaking of magical shifts, the Divina Cosmetics Aurora Flare Multichromes. I almost bought this entire collection because I love Divina shadows. I don't think I actually have my review up, but that one is also coming soon. I really want all of them. They're so magical, but I can't buy everything. I don't know. I might consider it, even with shipping costs, because they're just so beautiful and their quality is amazing. Second last, the JD Glow Liquid Gel Liners. Look at these holiday shades. Oh my god, absolutely amazing. I've tried their gel liner in Chrome, I believe. You can watch my review over here. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Love the formula. Hate the brush that it comes with. I just use like another brush because I prefer it. Really love the formula. So good. I want to get these to try them out, but realistically I probably wouldn't wear them, so I don't know, we'll see. But the swatches look stunning. Okay, and then the last product for the best products in my opinion is the Danessa Myricks Balm Contour. Very intrigued by this. If I understood correctly, it's a cream contour, which all of her products are like cream and liquid products, so totally makes sense. Very much in line with her brand. It's weird because in the pan, it looks very matte and powdery. So, but I assume that it's a, like, you know, cream product. I don't know, the campaign photos looked absolutely breathtaking, so I'd really be interested in trying this out. And I've actually got some Danessa Myricks products with me that also I haven't tried out because I want to give them the attention that they deserve, so stay tuned for that review coming soon. That was all of the best products. I talked way too much, and now I'm going to be moving on to the worst products. So the first palette that I'm going to be talking about is the Pinky Rose and Riley Rose Stormy palette. I don't really know what either of these brands are. I'm pretty sure Pinky Rose is an indie brand. Riley Rose, I'm pretty sure is, aren't they like Forever 21's beauty brand or something like that? I don't know. Anyways, this is what the palette looks like. It honestly looks like something that Urban Decay would have came out with in like 2015. Like, I don't understand how these colors are stormy. It's like half neon, half kind of like grungy metallic. It's really not cohesive. It's just really weird. And also, like, how would you do a full look with this palette? Like, it looks like this is just an accent palette. Also, like, okay, the lightning bolts, it's cute and whatever. It goes with the palette design, the theme. How are you going to actually dip your brush in there? And then once you get to the bottom of the tip, you're going to have like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't like it. Also, I'm curious if the pans are actually lightning bolt shaped or if they're like circular or square pans. And then if you actually like take the cardboard off, if there's more eyeshadow underneath, it just seems very weird to me. Next, the NYX Cosmetics and Sabrina Netflix collection. Like, nobody asked for this. I don't understand why this is a thing. Also, it's really boring. The colors look like they were just thrown together. I haven't actually seen the show, but from what I've seen from like promo photos and ads and stuff, it looks like it's a fairly vibrant color palette for the show. So I don't understand why the colors look so boring. It's just very bland looking. Like, what happened to NYX in the past few years? They seem to miss every single time with these launches. Like, no one's talking about them anymore. Like, they just seem like they're not an exciting brand anymore. And why is that? What happened? All right. Norvina Volume 3 Mini. I don't really understand why the mini palettes happened. I thought the point of these palettes was taking the best shades, or taking kind of the idea of the bigger palettes and putting them into a smaller palette. So if you don't want to buy the big one, at least you can kind of get the idea of the palette in a smaller one, because that's what they did with the first one, but this one doesn't look anything like Volume 3. So I don't really know the point of this one. Also, it's just kind of like a weird combination of colors, and I feel like to do pretty much anything other than like a basic neutral look, actually really to do any look, I feel like you'd have to dip, most likely you'd have to dip into another palette, so I don't really understand the point. The packaging is beautiful though. I don't really see the connection, but it is very pretty. Okay, next is the Urban Decay Wired Collection. I'm mostly going to be talking about the palette. I honestly didn't realize this launched this year. I honestly thought that this was just an old palette because it looks like an old palette. Like it looks like the, was it the electric one? Is that the one that everyone's obsessed with that was discontinued like years ago? It's just, it looks like it would have been interesting in 2015. It looks like they just really missed the mark on this one. I don't really know what happened. Next is a collaboration with Bobbi Brown and Morag Myerscough? I don't know. I think she is she's an artist. She's created installations. She's very much into like bright, bold, colorful shapes and patterns. And of all brands, she partnered with Bobbi Brown, like the most boring brand in existence. Bobbi Brown has famously said that she doesn't think that color belongs in cosmetics. So why are you pairing with the most neutral brand out there? Like, it just, and I don't understand what the difference is with this palette compared to like anything in this collection, with anything that Bobbi Brown has ever come out with. Like, it looks like it's just repackaged classic things. Like the description from Trendmood is just gorgeous packaging with the artist's signature ColourPop brights. So I don't know if there's any actual new products, but it's like you see like a really bright exterior and then it's just like browns. So where is the connection? Like literally any other brand could have partnered with her and it would have been really cool, but this is just not the brand to partner with. I don't understand why brands do this. Okay, next is the Wet n Wild and Bretman Rock Jungle Rock palette. I don't know if the promo photos were bad. I don't know who applied the makeup. The quality just really looks bad from the promo photos. And the color scheme is just kind of all over the place. It kind of looks like it was slapped together. And like, I feel bad because I do like Bretman Rock. I think he's really talented and I just don't know what happened with this palette. Okay, next is NARS Press Pigment eyeshadows. So I guess, I don't know if these are new products from this year or if they expanded their line of products, but anyways, there are 6 of them. What are these? Like, they look like they're from 2015. Like, look at the quality and intensity of the swatches, especially compared to how they look in the pan. And then you look at the swatches and it's like, what is this? NARS really needs to get with the times. I'm sorry, but like this finish is way too boring for current makeup trends. You need to get the wow factor. Like, swatches are how you really sell a product. Like, okay, it might look pretty in the pan, but how does it actually apply? And when it looks so lackluster, I have zero interest in these. All right, next, Pure Cosmetics and Trolls. What the fuck is this? Like, nobody asked for this collection. Also, I'm not too familiar with Pure Cosmetics, but like, this doesn't seem to fit with their brand. So why did this happen? Who is Pure's demographic? I'm just very confused. This looks like something that maybe Wet n Wild would do, but not Pure. Pure seems like a much older demographic. Am I wrong? I'm just very confused. These palettes kind of remind me a little bit of the Huda 9pan palettes, especially the blue and sort of lime green one at the bottom kind of reminds me of those. One more thing, I just hate when palettes have a shade in the center like this and they're just kind of arranged all over the place. Like, it's annoying. I really don't like that layout. Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson mini controversy palette relaunch. So literally it was the same palette, just with a shimmery green shade that didn't make it to the final launch. The palette was very, how to put this, incohesive, I guess, when it first launched. And this just makes it even less cohesive. Like, look at that color scheme. It's all over the place. It's an absolute mess. I own the original palette and I don't like the quality. It's probably like one of the worst quality palettes that I own. Some of the shades are okay. Some of them really aren't that great. So why did they do this? Other than to make more money, why did they do this? Haus Labs Stupid Love palette. Why? I feel like this came out so long ago. It was only May. Wow. Violet Voss just did this a lot better. The color scheme is kind of all over the place. I feel like if they just made this a blue palette, it would have been a lot better. Or like a blue and sort of brown palette. I feel like that just could have been nice. Blue and silver, brown, I don't know. And I heard the quality was not great. And it's unfortunate. Every single launch that Haus Labs does is bad. And I feel like honestly, it might be better if Lady Gaga just quits while she's ahead, relaunches, reformulates, works with a different lab, and then tries again, or just rebrands completely, because it just seems like every single thing they do is a miss. And I just feel really bad because everyone wants Lady Gaga's brand to succeed, and it doesn't seem like it is. Speaking of things that I really wanted to go well, e.l.f. and J. Kissa Round 2 palette. This was the To the Rescue palette. It's a rainbow palette. I think it is hideous. I think this is one of the ugliest palettes ever, and I feel really bad because I really like J. Kissa. I really like e.l.f. This is just an ugly palette. Now, okay, I will say I like the thought that was put into this. I like the way that each column you have a monochrome row. So you have a lighter shade, you have a darker shade, and you have a metallic shade, and you can create a really nice monochrome look with like each column. But it's really ugly, and I heard the quality isn't the best either. So like A for effort, but I had zero interest in picking it up before I watched reviews. Then I watched reviews and I was like, really not interested. Okay, Kaleidos Escape Pod palette. I was like so obsessed with Kaleidos, and then this palette came out and I was like, ooh, this is really ugly. Like, I've seen some really nice looks come out of this, but there are a couple of repetitive shades, and it's just a really all over the place color scheme. I don't know what happened with this one. Okay, Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet. Nobody asked for this palette. This palette looks like it was stuck in a time machine from 2015. I don't know why this happened. Also, if you're gonna call it a purple palette, don't make half the palette browns. Just make it an all purple palette. That's all we wanted. Also, they really need to get off this naked train. This isn't even a naked palette. Just make a different line of products. Simple. Because everyone is fucking sick of naked palettes, okay? Next is the Elsie Cosmetics Special Edition Minimalist palette. I haven't really heard of this brand before. I don't really know if this is something they normally do, but honestly, it's ugly AF and it looks like something KVD would do. Also, like, these look like they're all accent shades, so like you can't even use the whole palette as a whole. Like, I guess unless you do kind of a more editorial look, but it's just ugly. Like, all of the tones that they use are just hideous. I don't know what happened. Next, Morphe and Maddie Ziegler palette. I think it is called the Imagination Collection, Imagination Dreams, something like that. I think I talked about this when it came out. I'm pretty sure I have like a commentary video around the time that this released, so I'll just link that over here. It looks like a kitty palette. Like, it looks like baby's first makeup palette. Also, like, it's just, I'm so sick of these collaborations with non-makeup people. Like, there are so many talented makeup artists and makeup enthusiasts that would do such a good job with a collaboration palette with like a big brand, and instead they go with celebrities who will sell palettes, and it's just an ugly palette. Okay, next is the Violet Voss Sakura palette. What is this mess? It's ugly. It's like a million shades of pink and brown, and it's so unimaginative. Nothing even reminiscent of Sakura's. Sakura's, or like cherry blossoms, are pastel pink. Do you see a single pastel pink shade in this palette? No. Why does this exist? Exactly. Like, they could have even done like a pastel pink mini palette, and that would have been great. Okay, Morphe, the main event palette. What is this monstrosity of a train wreck? This color scheme is all over the place. There's absolutely zero direction. It looks like they took like some reject shades maybe from other palettes and just threw them together. It's so ugly. You definitely could create cohesive looks, but not with that many shades because it's just all over the place. It's a mess. Also, I didn't hear anyone talking about this palette, so that might tell you something. Beauty Bay and Nikkie Tutorials. I really wanted to like this because I really like Nikkie Tutorials, and I know that the palette and the shade names mean so much to her. I really wanted this to go so well for her, and I think it's an absolutely hideous palette. I know that half of it is supposed to be like dark and half of it is supposed to be light, and I really don't see that coming across in this palette. It just looks like a jumbled mess. The looks that I've seen her do with this palette are stunning, but she can also make everything look good. It's just ugly. Okay, next, the Natasha Denona Glam palette. I saw a lot of people getting really excited about this palette, and I don't know why, because I think it's fucking ugly and boring. There, I said it. I guess it's a fine, neutral, sort of like silvery palette. Personally, I don't see this as glam. I see glam as dark and smoky, but a lot of colors, and this is just grays and silvers and beiges. It's really boring. I'm just mad that people were that excited about such a boring ass palette that costs like $200. Why? Also, like, I think this was the one, yeah, this is the one where all the shade names are instructions on how to put the palette on. So it's like outer corner, like inner corner, brow bone. It's like, if you're spending like $300 on a palette, you know how to put on makeup. So I don't understand why, like, this palette just feels patronizing. And I don't understand why it needs to be like that. Okay, next is the Kara Beauty Dreamscape palette. One of the ugliest palettes I have ever seen in my life. This is absolutely hideous. Also, this palette looks like it fell out of a time machine from like 2013. It's so ugly. Who would actually buy this? Also, I just hate rectangular pans, but that's just me. It's honestly, even with the cool like marble texture, it's one of the ugliest palettes I've ever seen in my life. Okay, next is the KVD Beauty Edge of Reality Holiday 2020 palette. Also, hideous palette. What the hell happened to this brand? They used to be edgy, they used to be trend-setting. I don't think that all of that was Kat Von D. Like, I mean, I'm sure she was running the company, like, I mean, it was her company, but like after she left, or around the time that she left, it's just every palette is the same and so boring and so unimaginative. And like if you look at this palette and you kind of isolate certain shades, it's like, oh, that's a really pretty color. They could have done a lot with it. And then they just put it together and it's such a mess. Also, like, okay, I know I'm pretty sure she designed all of the palette artwork when she was still working with the brand. So since she left, the packaging got very lackluster, and I don't understand why they couldn't have just hired an artist who sort of worked in a similar style to her to at least keep the spirit of the brand, like the sort of creative visual spirit, not the racist spirit, but the, you know, the visual identity of the brand consistent, because this just feels like it's not the same brand anymore. If they're gonna rebrand, then either rebrand and be something completely different and be like, okay, we used to be like this dark gothic edgy brand and now we're going to be light and boring, and just rebrand completely different. Or if you're going to keep the same initials as the brand, then keep the same tone, because this is just not it. Their rebrand is more like a rebland. Like, it's just so... all the soul of this brand is gone. I don't know what happened. Okay, next is the... such a weird collaboration. The Makeup Eraser and SpongeBob SquarePants collaboration. So it's just like makeup, like microfiber cloths with SpongeBob characters on it. Who asked for this? Why does this exist? Like, it's so unnecessary. You're probably paying more money for these because of like licensing fees and all that. And like, first of all, why are you paying so much in the first place for an overpriced microfiber cloth? Second of all, fine, if you're going to spend money on this, why do you need SpongeBob characters on your makeup remover? Next, BH Cosmetics Drop Dead Gorgeous Halloween Collection. It's so ugly, so unimaginative. I don't know why it existed, and I don't know who actually bought this because it's really boring and ugly. Earlier, I was talking about how Beauty Bakery can do no wrong, except for this palette. So this palette was called the Sugar Cookies palette. I don't know what sugar cookies have blue and orange in them, but this palette does not scream sugar cookies to me. Even if you decorate with sprinkles, it still doesn't look like sugar cookies. So I feel like this was just a huge miss. This was an opportunity for them to make the boringest palette by making it like browns and beiges, and they actually put in color. Like, it's a nice palette on its own, but this was like a perfect opportunity to do the most boring palette. Inspired by the most boring looking cookie. I'm sorry, but I have to do this. Let's talk about two Wayne Goss palettes that I believe both launched this year. I think one was around end of summer. The other one was the holiday palette. This is what they look like. I'm yawning already. They're so boring. The first one, like, it looks nice and all, but like boring, and costed like $135 or something for like 6 shades. The other one is probably about the same. Literally, if you take out the interesting shades, the first one is just a brown palette, and the second one is just a gray and black palette. Boring. It's a shame because I really love Wayne Goss, like especially his tutorials have helped me out so much. He's brilliant, but it's a no for me, dog. I know Charlotte Tilbury is a boring brand, but like, can you get any more boring than this? Is anyone else just super bored with their releases? And obviously I'm not their demographic. That's very clear to me, but like, so boring. I'm just uninterested in the entire brand, except for maybe like trying out their Magic Cream, maybe trying out some of their foundations and trying out some of their like cheek products. But other than that, they're so boring. Okay, next is the Storybook Cosmetics Starry Night palette. I have zero interest in this brand. Everything they come up with is so gimmicky, and their packaging also looks incredibly bulky for some reason. I don't understand. They started out by doing like makeup palettes inspired by fairy tales, I think. So that makes sense because like the whole idea was you open it up like a, you know, like you're reading a story, and then you have your makeup inside. And now they're branching out into art, and I just don't understand the connection. I know exactly who they're appealing to. They're appealing to people like me who love Van Gogh, and Starry Night is like one of their favorite paintings, and this is what they come up with, and I'm really angry because it doesn't even look anything like the painting. How dare you do my boy Vincent dirty like this? Like, this is not even close to the colors in Starry Night. Like, take out the orange, because there's no orange in this painting. You could take out the green, like that mossy green. Don't need it. Take out that like brownie color. You don't really need that. Take out the silver. Maybe add a couple more yellows, and then we'll talk. But like, this whole brand, it just seems so gimmicky to me. And like, am I the only one who's not interested in them? Like, it feels like they're not taking makeup seriously. It just seems like they're appealing to millennials and pulling on their heartstrings for anything nostalgic or culturally relevant. I don't like it. I feel like I'm the only one on the planet who feels this way, and I'm sorry in advance, but the Hip Dot and My Chemical Romance palette, I hate it. It's so ugly. It doesn't even look anything like the palette art. There's just no cohesiveness. I hate it. It's ugly. It sucks. And the internet lost their minds because it's like, oh my god, My Chemical Romance, I need to buy it, but no you don't because it's ugly. I don't know if the quality is good. I've seen a couple looks that some people have done with it, and it looks nice. Honestly, I would just make it like a red, black, and gray palette. Maybe add some white and silver, but like, take out the browns. We don't need the browns. They're unnecessary. Take out the purple. I don't know why it's there. The reds are fine. I would have added like maybe a darker, richer, like crimson maroon kind of color. I guess the grays are fine. The white's fine. The black's fine. Just maybe in a like darker gray. It's a weird palette. I hate it. Also, like, this is like 15 years too late. Like, why are you releasing this now? other than like a very obvious cash grab. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I don't do too many videos like this because they end up being super long and I feel like people really aren't interested in them. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you agree with me, if you disagree, let's have a discussion. I talked about a lot of products, so I'm sure you'll disagree with me on something, but that's okay. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the type of looks that I post here on my channel, I'm sure you'll love my other socials. You can follow me here, and I've got links in the description box as always. And if you enjoy the type of content that I post here and you want to see more, I would love it if you could subscribe and turn on notifications, and that way you'll get updated every time I post a new video. Since this will be the last video I post of the year, Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys next time.